Hi guys, thanks for taking the time to click on the video, it's much appreciated. I'm going to do another slight addition to the Aprilia SR GT, and that is I am going to add a top box. And for a top box you need a rack, which we now have. Now, the under-seat storing on the GT is okay. I have the Oxford panniers I can throw over it if I want to go for a fairly big shopping. But for day-to-day stuff, it would be handy to have some more space. So that's why I've decided to go for the rear top box. It makes sense, frankly. Now, there's 3 manufacturers of racks that I have found, and maybe more, I don't know. Aprilia themselves do a rack. I don't know what the availability is like. I'm in the UK, by the way, and I'm also told it's very expensive, so that put me off for a start. Jive, who are famous for top boxes and racks, they do a rack for the SRGT, but at the moment it seems to only be available in mainland Europe. If you go on their UK website and you put in the details, it just says waiting under manufacturer or words to that effect. And I actually emailed Jive and said, when is this going to be available in the UK? And they couldn't tell me. So that was no good. The third option was Shad. Now, I've never had a Shad rack or a top box before, but apparently they're very good. And Shad had the racks available. There was a 3 to 4 week delay on delivery, but I thought, well, 3 to 4 weeks with Shad is better than we don't know with Jive, so let's do the Shad. And it actually arrived about 3 weeks later, so they were pretty much spot on. And this is it. And this is quite a substantial bit of kit. I mean, I weighed this evening on the kitchen scales, and this actually weighs 2 kilos. So it's quite a heavy, it's a really well-made, solid rack. This isn't going to bend or buckle or go anywhere. Now, it has holes, obviously, on the base for a proper Shad fitting, if you have a Shad top box. Now, a Shad top box is, with the right sort of size, would be about 75 quid. Now, you know, that's not out of the question. I may decide to buy one. But I have another option to try first of all, and that is a top box that I got, believe it or not, for the Honda Zuma. So let me show you that. So this is a Bike Tech top box. Now, I got this off eBay 3 or 4 years ago when I was looking to put one on the back of the Zuma. This was about £20 at the time, which, you know, for what you're getting is really incredible, because it's good solid plastic. It's not got the best lock in the world, it's maybe not the smartest design, but for 20 quid, you can't really go wrong. Size-wise, it's about 24 litre, which is maybe 10 litre less than I would ideally like on the GT. One of the guys on the Facebook group for the bike has a 34 litre Shad top box on, which looks really good. So this may look a bit small, I don't know. Until I put it on, I'm not sure. But you know, it's got 2 keys, it locks, it does the job sort of thing. So this is the top box. Now, with the top box comes a universal fitting plate. Unlike all things that describe themselves as universal, does this fit exactly onto the Shad rack where they have the holes drilled? No, of course it doesn't, because it's universal. So I've had to adjust it slightly. I don't know if you can see, I've just drilled a little extra bit of a hole. Hang on, I'm not showing this very well. There we go, there. And again, over here, just to allow the bolt to go through, because it wasn't quite lining up. The back of the 2 bolts that go through the back are fine, that's no problem. The 2 through the front, I needed to adjust slightly. So this will go onto the Shad rack, and then the top box goes onto this. Now, this top box, being cheap, actually screws directly on to the rack. It goes through this hole here. So it's not a top box that would be ideal if you want to take it on and off all the time, which is really why I didn't end up using it on the Zuma, because I didn't need it all the time on a little bike, and it was a hassle to get the thing on and off. So at the end of the day, I didn't really use it much. But I don't intend to take it on and off the SRGT, so this will do fine. So actually there's a sort of screw bolt that goes through the inside of the top box and into the plate, as well obviously as the bolts, the back of it goes into the lip here as well. So it's really secure, it's good, and for 20 quid, you know, it'll do. We're going to try it anyway. These are the metal sort of bars you get that attach the universal plate onto the rack. So we're going to go down, and we're going to have to take the bucket seat out the bike, take off the rear spoiler thing, the rear fin, and we're going to put the top box on. So that is next project, putting a top box and a rack on the Aprilia SR GT. Okay, so we're down at the bike. It's a wet and windy day outside, so we're indoors. As you can see, I've already fitted the universal plate on, because frankly these things are easier to fit on before you attach the rack than they are after you've attached it. As you can see, I've had to make a slight adjustment to where the bolts go so that the universal rack fits onto the shad, universal plate rather, fits onto the shad rack. So now we're going to look at fitting it onto the bike. Okay, one of my YouTube followers asked for the dimensions of the back plate I put across here, just to section off this rear part of the under-seat storage space. So I'm just going to give it, I mean, you have to shape it. It's not just a square bit of wood or whatever. So we're looking really at 26 centimeters across. And if I can do this without dropping it, there we go, 13 centimeters deep. As I say, you have to shape it to fit. These ends are very slightly brought in. Obviously it's curved down the top to avoid the seat, the under-seat bit hitting it. But that's how you cut and make the panel that just sections off the top bit here and makes it more useful. So anyway, that was just a quick thing before one of my subscribers who asked that question. Right, so to install the rack, obviously we have to remove the rear spoiler, which is going to be that bolt there. And then we have to get into here where the rest of it is bolted. So we're going to have to remove the seat area, and there's bolts, as you can see, round the rim, which we take all these out, and then the seat area should just lift out. That's what I'm told anyway. Just a little item before I carry on. This is a Von House tool set. Now Von House do very cheap and you know, bargain tools and equipment and stuff like that. I got this a few months ago, and I tell you, it's a cracking little set. It has everything in it really you need to work on the bike, you know, and it's all in one place. And this was only about, I think that's about £20–25. Now I'm not sponsored by Von House or anything like that. This is just a personal opinion. These are really good little tool sets. It's all in one place. It's everything you could need. Dozens of different fittings and things. You've got a little wrench there. You've got Allen keys. It's a really neat little set if you just want something simple to carry out basic jobs on the bike. Anyway, enough waffling. Let's get on and get this seat bucket out. Well, that literally took about 30 seconds. I did take the two screws here out. You don't need to do that. That just is a cover for the battery compartment, so you don't need to take those out. All you've got is a bolt there, two up the back, and another one down there. And we can now lift this away and have a look inside and get a first look at the engine. So taking the seat bucket out really does give you excellent access to the engine, battery and fuses. Look at that, isn't that lovely and shiny and new? You've got your coolant reserve there, and up here is your seat lock. Lovely. Okay, very useful and very quick access to the engine should you need it. Now, seeing as we've got the Scottish winter coming up, and I use the bike all year round, and I've got the seat bucket out and get access to the engine, I'm going to give it a spray with some ACF 50, which is a very, very good anti-corrosion spray. It just coats all the metal parts and avoids the rust, the salt, and the salt and all the nasties that go on the road getting to your metal parts over the winter. So just spray it on anything you can see metal that I can get to, and it's just going to provide a nice coating that all that road salt and crud that will be thrown at the bike over the next few months is hopefully going to mean that engine stays nice and shiny when we take the bucket off, if we have to, at a later date. So that's it, just a spray of ACF 50. Highly recommended. Okay, back to the business of the top box, and as you can see, we have a bolt either side here which hold the spoiler on. I've already loosened off the one on the back here, so that's just ready to come out. So it's just a bolt either side. Let's get rid of those and take this spoiler off. Okay, so it's literally 3 bolts and off comes the spoiler. Bit of a pity to lose it because it does finish the bike up quite nicely at the back, but I'm afraid storage needs must. Anyway, we'll stick this away for future days in case I ever sell the bike and or decide I don't want the top box, and it can go back on again. So this will go along with the number plate thing I took off before, and a bag of spare parts for the new owner or whatever. So you do get a pack of fitting bolts with the shad rack. I'm going to use the ones that came with the bike just to put this back in, actually, because I prefer this sort of hexagonal bolt to the Allen key bolts they sent. So I'm going to use these two. With the one on the rear, this is the bolt, whoops, that came out. The spoiler, you can't use that, it's too short, so you have to replace that. You also get a little spacer thing with the rack, which just fits into there, which is where part of the space, part of the spoiler was. And then you have a nice long bolt and a washer, which will go straight down into there. So that's the only bit you have to change. I'm just going to use, as I say, use these ones that came with the bike to attach it on at the side. Okay, so we're going to bolt all this up, and then I'll let you have a look at the bike with the top box on and see what you think. Let's have a last look at that lovely gleaming engine. Look at that. Isn't that fantastic? I wonder what that will look like in 5 years' time. Okay guys, so I'm just going to bolt this up and then I'll show you the finished item. Okay, there you go guys, top box on. What do you think? Now I could lie and said this all went very smoothly. There was one bit I didn't video. I'd actually thought I was being very clever fitting the plate first before I attached the rack, but of course when I put the rack on, the plate was just coming slightly too far over, so it was hitting the seat. I didn't want to video the fact of me taking the plate off and repositioning it, because all the swearing would probably get me banned from YouTube. Anyway, my advice therefore would be not to fit the plate before you've actually checked the space. Anyway, there we go, top box on. That's only, I think, a 24-litre top box, but I think that's actually plenty big enough. That looks okay, that'll do me fine. So that's it, fitting a top box. Okay everyone, hope you enjoyed that video. Reasonably straightforward. It's very straightforward, of course, if you buy a top box that fits properly and is designed for the rack. Slightly less straightforward if you're trying to do it ever so slightly cheap like I am. But it's doable, everything is doable. Okay guys, thanks again for watching. Like and subscribe if you can, and I'll be back with something new on the Aprilia SR GT when I get another idea. Cheers now, all the best.